Everyone is talking about Manor Lords, so in this video I'll give my thoughts after going in blind and playing it for a few hours. It's by no means a comprehensive review, so there will probably be some more content to follow in the future. As the game is in early access, I've also decided to put more focus onto my first impressions and what my first attempt at being a Manor Lord looked like. For those of you who haven't heard of it, Manor Lords is a medieval strategy game that offers players an intricate blend of in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. The game is currently in early access, and on the day of release it racked up a whopping 170,000 concurrent players. Prior to that, it was also the most wishlisted game on Steam, so let's see if it's lived up to its hype so far. From my point of view, I hadn't actually heard of it, but I was told it was supposed to be like Black and White but without the God element, so of course I dived in as soon as it hit Game Pass to check it out. We start off with a bit of a character creation screen where you can also choose your coat of arms, which I spent way too long doing. After this you can then choose a template difficulty, which you can also tweak individual elements of. In hindsight, I perhaps recommend starting with relaxing, unless the chaos that I experienced throughout the course of this video appeals to you. But anyway, the game starts with your tiny settlement and walks you through some of the basics. The instructions are pretty basic, but enough to get me going. Unfortunately, unlike Black and White, I can't speed up the building process by reaching down into the village and doing the work myself. But you do have the ability to fast forward time, something I found pretty mesmerising as I sat there watching everyone work away, whilst piling on even more work for them. At the beginning I did find it quite difficult to get going. You have to assign families to a building where they will work, but if they're doing that then they're not free for construction, and the game will tell you that it needs families to help. So it was a bit of a juggling act between having people assigned to like the foragers hut, or doing logging or hunting, whilst also trying to build up the settlement in general. I did also find myself in the unfortunate position of having 25 months worth of food and 0 months worth of fuel. I may have missed it, but I didn't think the game was very clear on how you acquire fuel for your settlement, so I did end up having to Google it. To be honest, I did expect to have to do this with a game like this though. I did it a lot during Black and White, and I did feel like it was a lot of trial and error. But, saying all that, I did manage to survive the first year. I was then told I had a year to prepare for a bandit attack. I managed to recruit villagers into my army, but they had no weapons. In order to obtain weapons, I think I needed to upgrade my burgages, whatever they're called, and add an extension for the families to make weapons and shields. Something else which I googled, and it did work, just everything is a slow process. What I would perhaps recommend against is building as much as possible as quickly as possible, as I was constantly running out of logs and planks, even though I had families fully assigned to those sites. So I would assign resources to the sawmill, only to mean I'm taking away resources for construction, and making no progress with my army as well. It's a lot to juggle, but it's also incredibly addictive. Unfortunately, the tiny army I was able to muster didn't put up much of a fight against bandit raiders or armies or whoever was attacking me. The tutorial for how to move my army around also came far too late as well. In fact, the tutorial appeared after my army was wiped out, rather than before. So everything was set on fire and there was nothing I could do as they plundered all my hard work. I see now why some of my friends decided to play this without the bandits. I then had the opportunity to try and take over another region on the battlefield, which I failed at miserably when a neighbouring army came and wiped out mine, again. The attacking army then just wandered through my streets for a while, not really doing anything. I'm not sure if they were looking for my army to fight, but all of about 15 of them were long dead. This also happened when I was down to 1 month's supply of food. Winter seemed to be a bit of a challenge, and I don't think I've mastered the art of growing my own crops yet. I was able to purchase a new horse at the trading post, although I'm not entirely sure what I need that for yet. Eventually I hit a kind of a stalemate where my approval rating tanked, nothing was being built, and I constantly had alerts that enemies were nearby. I also had a warning that bodies needed to be buried and that I should assign a family to it, but I had no idea where the family needed assigning to. In the end, I think I assigned a family to both the church and the graveyard, and hoped for the best. I did discover that I had 3 development points to spend, which is basically a way of levelling up and specialising your community to help with its growth. Then I was attacked again and my village was burnt to the ground again. So from what I've seen so far, there is a way to take over neighbouring regions peacefully if you've built up enough, renown, if you like. So that might be the approach I go for next. But if I can't defend myself, then this stalemate of building up my village only for it to be burnt down will just continue. So all in all, this was a very steep learning curve and I still have no idea what I'm doing. This might sound like a negative review, but I'm actually really enjoying it so far, and I think I'll be sinking many more hours into this game, figuring out how it all works. I'm also seeing an abundance of guides jumping up online, so if anyone has any pointers that they wish to give me, feel free to drop them down in the comments.